Yo, what up everybody? It's your boy the Kryptonian Saiyan here, bringing you another Dragon Ball discussion. Today, I want to talk about something I feel has the potential to be something that is highly controversial, which is Dragon Ball Super's new movie, making Broly the villain for this new canon movie. And I'm gonna say right off top, I've been on both sides of the Broly spectrum. I was somebody that really loved Broly back during the Dark Ages, where the only dub that you got of Dragon Ball was when Goku and the others were being dubbed by Ocean. And so when that happened, they ran out of episodes, and then you would watch Toonami like 4:30 or some 4:30 somewhere around there, and then all of a sudden it just goes back to Raditz on the shotgun, and you never know what's going to happen because Goku had just gotten on Namek. And so the only way to find out was to read stuff like the Pojo's magazine, which is how I got introduced to Broly as a character, because when that Pojo's magazine came out, you got a lot of information about all the different movie characters and everything. And then that leads me to kind of watching the movie illegally online, though it took a long ass time to download back then. But here's the thing though, right? I was on that side where I loved the mindless fun that was Broly, and then as I matured as an anime fan, I kept seeing a lot of flaws in Broly's character. In fact, the fact of the matter is that he's easily the weakest movie character, not just out of Dragon Ball Z, but out of all the Dragon Ball movies. And so when you take all that into consideration, you just look at Broly as a character, what makes him tick. Every time he showed up, he progressively got worse, and the last iteration of Broly wasn't even Broly himself. It was just some fucking swamp thing. So the reason I want to kind of bring this up is I know Akira Toriyama talked about in that press release about how he's going to redesign Broly, and I've seen the new redesigns. I love the battle scars that are on Broly's body, and yet at the same time he's talking about going back and kind of tweaking the backstory and putting his own take on it. And this is what worries me. On one hand, I totally have faith in Akira Toriyama. I mean, the guy at his heart is a gag writer, but at the same time, when Toriyama puts his mind to something, Toriyama usually delivers a pretty decent product. And there's a reason why people like Kishimoto and Hiro Mashima and Eiichiro Oda and a whole generation of mangaka were inspired by Akira Toriyama. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Dragon Ball is this super deep series. There are some deep elements in it, but a lot of that comes down to Toriyama just lucking into it. I don't think he sat down and said, I'm gonna think of these complex themes or whatnot. I don't think that's what that is. However, I will say this: when you look at the character of Broly, you cannot stray too far away from what made Broly popular, and that's at his heart. Broly was just this super maniacal, angry, tough son of a bitch. And excuse my language, I know I have a lot of younger viewers and I appreciate all your support, but I'm just talking to you as a fan right now. I'm not using any scripts, I'm not doing any bullet points, I'm just talking to you like big brother to little brother. So I hate to say it, but I mean, I am going to curse a little bit in this video, though I will try to keep it at a minimum, because I've had a few of you guys shoot me the emails and the different messages saying that, I've been cursing on some videos and your parents walked in. So I totally understand it. So with that being said, the reason why I feel like you can't stray too far away from this is because the moment you name, not just say you're bringing Broly back into the Dragon Ball canon or making him in the Dragon Ball canon, but the moment you name the Dragon Ball Super movie Broly, it comes with a huge level of expectations. You have the people who are casual Dragon Ball fans who might, watch Dragon Ball Super every now and then and might just watch a few of the key fights, but you can guarantee they probably watch the Broly movies. And then the fact that the Broly movies are being put back into the movie theaters now, that lets you know that Broly does have a bit of popularity. And you have companies like Sume Art who have been making Broly statues, which I do have on order, by the way. But the fact of the matter is people are going to associate Broly with that nostalgia, and you can't run the risk of doing what you did with Revival of F. While on one hand it was pretty cool to see Frieza show up with a new transformation, if you just look at it from a storytelling aspect, the Revival of Frieza movie was a super inferior product to Battle of Gods. Battle of Gods on one hand had more humor and it was a little slower paced at the beginning, and yet when you look at it from a craft perspective, Battle of Gods told a beginning, a middle, and an end. It had clear stakes in that movie and you saw tension being built. When you got to the revival of Frieza, you just had a bunch of cool fights. It was really nice to see Tien and Roshi and everybody kind of show up. It was this knockdown slug drag fest, and then it was a bit surprising to see Frieza overpower Goku in this new transformation. And yet at the end of the day, you knew pretty damn well that Goku or Vegeta was going to end up beating Frieza, and then you had that Deus Ex Machina scene where Whis rewinds time. I mean, it was a very poor payoff, and so what I'm worried about with Broly is that we're going to go down this rabbit hole and people are going to have expectations so high that the movie cannot possibly live up to them. And if that happens, this is something that could hurt the Dragon Ball franchise as a whole. And the reason why I say this is currently the Dragon Ball series, the animes, Dragon Ball Super is currently on a hiatus. Right now, all the Dragon Ball staff and the voice actors are working on, I forgot the name of the anime, but they're working on another anime for TV Tokyo. And here's the thing about that, right? Once that gets done and they move on, there's an opportunity for either Dragon Ball to continue as a set of canon movies, or if the hype is still there with the Olympics coming up, you could do a promotional run for the Dragon Ball Super anime coming off a hiatus. But if this movie, which is gonna make money, but if this movie does not resonate with fans, you could see a scenario where we go back to the Dark Ages, where all of a sudden you don't have any more Dragon Ball content. You'll be getting the video games and everything, because the video games make a lot of money, and hopefully for me, I hope Dragon Ball Super Heroes, the anime, does a really good job, even those little 8-second clips, because I would like to see that manga serialized in English. I would like to see the anime just picked up into a full 30 minutes. I totally love it. But with that being said, if this bombs, there's going to be a huge hangover effect. This movie is essentially going to test us, and if that's the case, Toriyama has to bring his A game, and you run the risk of kind of rehashing what happened in the first Broly movie, because I saw a design where Paragus has been drawn and everything. And if this is the case and you have Goku and Vegeta fighting up against Broly and somehow Frieza fits into this, then maybe that becomes different enough. But if you end up just borrowing bits and pieces, like how Revival of F borrowed bits and pieces from the Namek saga, if that happens, it's gonna be a fucking dud. Any honest Dragon Ball fan will tell you Revival of F was a piece of shit. So I say all that to say that on one hand, if you stray too far away from what the Dragon Ball Super fans are expecting from Broly, then you set people up for disappointment. But on the other hand, if you don't take too bold of a risk, then what's going to end up happening is that fans are going to turn their back to it. But those are just my thoughts on this matter, guys. What do you personally think about Broly being brought back into the series, and how powerful do you think he's going to be scaled to be? But as always, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. Have an awesome day.